So imagine waking up in the middle of the night. You're like completely exhausted.
Absolutely the worst feeling.
Yeah. And you reach out in the dark across your bed.
Yeah.
And your hand brushes against something that just feels, well, wrong.
No. I hate this already.
Right. So you open your eyes, and there is a massive, breathing, literally monstrous horse lying right next to you.
That sounds like a literal nightmare.
It really does. But according to the materials we're looking at today, it actually wasn't a dream. It was the terrifying result of a human mind doing its job a little too well.
Yeah, it's a profoundly unsettling image, but it perfectly encapsulates the core idea we're unpacking today.
Exactly.
Because if you focus on something with enough intensity, your mind doesn't just, perceive that thing, it actively constructs it in reality.
And we are exploring that idea through a truly fascinating translation today for our deep dive. It's a document authored by Deiform Buddha, and it was translated back in December 2006. Yeah. It has this rather intimidating title, actually. It's called Learning the Transformation of Divine Powers, Advanced Cultivation 2.
Which sounds heavy, but it's an incredible piece of philosophical and, well, practical writing.
Yeah, totally.
The central mission here, like the spine of all these teachings, is a single principle, and that is all things arise from consciousness.
Okay, let's unpack this, because right out of the gate, we are dealing with concepts that the text describes as subtle and mysterious and profoundly inscrutable.
Right, which sounds like a manual for ancient magic, honestly.
It really does. Like, we're talking about shape-shifting and divine powers here. But instead of starting with, like, spells or rituals, the author starts with an analogy that is completely modern and grounded.
Yeah.
The art of acting.
Yes, exactly. The Hollywood actor. And it's a brilliant starting point, I think, because it completely demystifies this whole idea of transformation. The premise is pretty simple. An outstanding actor can live 100 different lives. They can, perfectly embody a completely different person, capturing their pain, their joy.
Their exact mannerisms.
Right, exactly.
But wait, let me push back on this a bit, just playing devil's advocate here.
Sure, go for it.
Acting is, by definition, pretending. Right. Like, you put on a costume, you memorize your lines, and when the director yells, cut, you just go back to being yourself.
Right, you're just playing a role.
Yeah. You haven't actually physically transformed. Your bone structure is completely identical.
Well, what's fascinating here is if you look closer at what's actually happening during a truly, flawless performance.
Okay.
In the philosophical framework we're exploring, action inevitably follows thought. The author argues that to achieve that flawless physical result...
Where the weight distribution and everything changes.
Yeah, exactly. The weight distribution, the micro-expressions, the cadence of the voice. For those to perfectly align with someone else, the actor's mind has to genuinely become the character's mind.
Oh, wow.
So it isn't trickery, right? It's a temporary, almost hostile takeover of the physical form by a new consciousness blueprint.
So you're saying that, if the internal alignment is complete enough, the physical body literally has no choice but to reflect that reality.
Yes.
Like, the mind is the architect and the body is just, I don't know, a construction crew following the blueprints.
Precisely. The transformation happens internally first, and the physical reality is merely a trailing indicator.
A trailing indicator. I like that.
Yeah, it's the foundational level of consciousness dictating form. I mean, an actor does this temporarily, right?
Yeah.
And within a very safe, controlled environment.
Like a movie set.
Right. But what happens when someone masters that internal alignment and makes it permanent, or, well, better yet, weaponizes it?
Oh, weaponizing it. That question leads right into this historical account drawn from the text, specifically the Lazy Yellow Emperor chapter.
Yes, this is such a good story.
It really is. So we meet this sorcerer from the state of Qi. His name is Jishan, and this guy is, for all intents and purposes, a walking, talking, predictive algorithm.
He really is. He's a master of reading those trailing indicators we just talked about. So he moves to the state of Zhang, and he possesses this terrifying godlike accuracy in predicting people's fates.
And we aren't just talking about, generic horoscope stuff here.
No, not at all.
Jishan predicts life, death, fortune, and misfortune down to the year, the month, and the exact day.
It's intense.
Yeah, he is so unnervingly accurate that the people of Zheng literally run away when they see him coming down the street.
Which is completely understandable, but there's one person who is completely mesmerized by him.
Right, Lizi.
Yeah, a student of Taoist philosophy named Liezi. And Liezi is so blown away by Jisan's predictive power that he actually goes to his own spiritual master.
This old sage named Hukizi, right?
Exactly. He goes to Hukizi and basically tells him, I used to think your teachings were the ultimate truth, but this guy Jishan operates on a completely different level.
Which is incredibly bold. I mean, going to your lifelong master and telling him you found someone better.
Right. The nerve.
But Hukizi chides him, and the way he does it is just fascinating. He tells Liezi he only understands the written theory of their path, not the practical reality.
Yeah.
And then he drops this incredibly vivid metaphor. He says, if there are only female animals and no males, how could they produce eggs?
Yeah, that metaphor, it cuts right to the heart of the issue. Hukizi is explaining the mechanics of power here.
Theory versus practice.
Exactly. Theory without practice is barren. So Liezi has read all the books on consciousness, sure, but without the active, generative force of application.
Which is the male energy in this metaphor.
No, without that, no actual results, no eggs can be produced. It's all potential, zero kinetic energy.
So to give Liezi a practical lesson in that kinetic energy, Hukizi issues a challenge.
Oh, this is the best part.
He tells Liezi to go invite this terrifying, all-knowing sorcerer over for a fortune reading. Like, let's see what happens when the ultimate predictive algorithm meets a true master of consciousness.
And this kicks off a 4-day duel that is just incredible to read.
So on the first day, Jishin walks in, takes one look at Hukizi, and just walks right back out.
Just immediately nopes out of there.
Yeah. He turns to Liezi and delivers a literal death sentence. He says, your teacher is finished. He won't last 10 days. He looks like wet ash.
And Liezi is just utterly destroyed by this. He goes inside crying so hard his clothes are soaked.
But Hukizi is just sitting there, totally serene.
Mm-hmm.
And he reveals the mechanics of what he just did to the guy.
Right.
He explains he intentionally showed the fortune teller the aspect of the earth.
And think about what that means mechanically, right? Hukizi didn't just, look sad.
No.
He consciously shut down the autonomic energy readout of his own body.
He faked his own vitals.
Yes. He created total stillness, non-movement, a completely blocked life force. He literally fed the sorcerer the exact data points of a dying man.
So he tells Liezi to bring the guy back tomorrow. Let's do day 2.
Right.
Jian comes in, looks at the master, and is completely shocked. He says, your teacher is so incredibly lucky he met me. He is recovering. I can actually see the blocked life force starting to stir.
And once again, Hukizi explains the underlying mechanism to his weeping student. He says he showed Jian the junction of heaven and earth.
Which means what exactly?
Well, it's a state where the mind is completely closed off to empty fame or material benefits, but a tiny, deliberate trickle of life force is allowed to pool and awaken right at the heels.
Oh, wow. He is playing him like a fiddle.
Oh, absolutely.
Which sets up day 3 perfectly, where things get genuinely chaotic. Jizin comes in, stares at Hukizi, and gets completely flustered.
He's losing his mind.
Yeah, he says, your teacher's mind is a mess right now. He's totally distracted. I can't get a read on him at all. I'll come back when he settles down.
Because Hukizi escalated the strategy. He didn't just give a fake reading this time. He showed him the aspect of great emptiness.
Great emptiness.
Yeah, he generated a chaotic but perfectly balanced internal static.
And the details on this in the text are wild. Hukizi lists these 9 kinds of abysses to describe what he was projecting outward.
Oh, right, the abysses.
He's talking about places where, like, whale circle, where water accumulates, where it flows, gushes, falls, breaches, returns, enters a marsh, and converges.
It is a deliberate overload of conflicting beta points. Like, if GCN's power is reading patterns, Hukizi essentially became a swirling vortex of every possible pattern at once.
That's a great way to put it.
The fortune teller is trying to read a calm stream, and Hukizi just threw him into a Category 5 hurricane. There is literally nothing to latch onto.
I love this, honestly, because it perfectly aligns with modern cybersecurity.
Oh, how so?
Well, Hukizi is basically the ultimate hacker, and Gzine is the surveillance software. The software needs recognizable code to categorize the user, right?
Oh, I see, right.
But Hukizi isn't just hiding. He's actively spoofing his IP address. Day 1, he feeds it a dead signal. Day 2, a booting up signal. Day 3, a massive DDoS attack of raw, unreadable data.
That analogy holds up perfectly, especially for the climax on the 4th day.
Yeah, day 4.
Because Jishin walks in, but before he can even, plant his feet, he panics. He literally turns around, bolts out the door, and runs away in absolute terror.
He just books it. Liezi tries to chase him down, but he is just gone.
The guy completely crashes, and Hukizi explains that for the finale, he simply showed his original appearance.
Meaning he dropped all the spoof signals?
Exactly. He was completely without attachment, constantly changing, shifting like grass bending in the wind or water moving in a stream.
Wow.
This is the profound takeaway from their duel. Jixian operates in a world of fixed states. He needs you to be a static object so he can categorize you and predict your future.
Right.
Kizi proves that true divine power isn't about knowing the future, it is about being uncategorizable.
By remaining fluid.
Yes. By remaining fluid, formless, and unattached, you become immune to the algorithms of the world. You maintain ultimate control over your own reality because you refuse to be locked into a single shape.
It's the ultimate privacy protocol.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that level of fluidity requires absolute ironclad control over your own consciousness. You have to be the one steering the ship at all times.
Which is incredibly difficult.
Right. So naturally, the author explores the exact opposite scenario. What happens when the focus isn't a deliberate, controlled hack, but an obsession that completely takes over?
That is where the framework becomes genuinely dangerous. Because we move from deliberate active transformation to unintentional passive transformation.
And the consequences are severe.
Because the fundamental law that consciousness creates reality, it doesn't care if you are in control or not.
There is an incredibly dark historical account from Ludi village that illustrates this. So we meet this old man named Hauer,
Right.
and he spent his whole life practicing medicine and divination. And hanging up in his shop is a painting of Master Sun and a red tiger.
And over time, Hauer develops a singular, overwhelming fixation on this specific painting.
It becomes a full-blown addiction.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes a single day without looking at this tiger, he becomes completely miserable. We hear about how his grandson would go into the city to sell goods and buy salt. If the grandson brought back poor quality beans or wheat, Hauer would explode into a violent rage. He was actually beating his family members with a cane.
Wow.
But the instant he locked eyes with the tiger painting, total calm, the anger just evaporated.
So his emotional regulation is entirely outsourced to the image of the beast at this point.
Totally.
He even starts demanding tiger paintings from relatives until his home is essentially a shrine to this animal.
And then the obsession escalates.
Uh.
His brother casually mentions one day that a drugstore in the city is keeping a real live tiger.
Which is just throwing fuel on the fire.
Oh, Hauer loses his mind. He throws himself on the ground, prostrating himself, begging to be taken to see it.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the city, plants himself in front of this live tiger, and stares at it for over 10 days straight. He completely forgets to eat. He forgets to sleep.
And this is the point of critical mass. His consciousness has entirely detached from his identity as a human grandfather and merged with the essence of the tiger.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the physical world starts to follow that blueprint. His behavior undergoes a bizarre, grotesque shift. He suddenly starts craving raw meat.
Not just any raw meat either.
No. He specifically demands raw pig heads and raw pig legs, and he eats them with immense pleasure. His family is horrified. They try to drag him away, and he beats them back with his cane, violently defending his territory near the tiger.
It's terrifying.
Wait, hold on. I have to interrupt here because this is where my modern brain glitches out.
Okay, let's hear it.
Biologically, how does staring at an animal completely rewire your digestive cravings so that you want to gnaw on a raw pig head? Like, is the underlying argument here that his actual DNA is changing?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, within the philosophical framework we are operating in, the distinction between psychological shift and biological mutation does not exist.
Wait, really?
Yeah, remember the core thesis.
Yeah.
All phenomena are created by the mind. The mind is the 3D printer.
Oh, right.
Hauer's consciousness has downloaded the blueprint of a tiger so completely that his body's chemistry, its cravings, its very nature, is being forcibly rewritten to match the blueprint.
Wow.
It is the actor's transformation, but sustained infinitely and completely out of control.
Which makes the climax of the story chilling. One night, Hauer sneaks out of his house and just vanishes into the dark.
Yeah.
Shortly after, a report goes around the village. A tiger jumped the walls into the city that night. The gates were quickly closed, soldiers shot the tiger, and its meat was divided up and eaten by the locals.
And Hauer is never seen again.
Right. His family is so thoroughly convinced that their grandfather actually became that tiger, they track down the people who ate the meat, recover the leftover tiger bones, and bury those bones as their grandfather's remains.
It is a profound tragedy, really. The mind built a trap, and the physical form was forced to live and die inside of it.
The implications of that are staggering.
Hmm?
And to hammer home how this mechanism works, there's another account in the text about a famous painter from the late Song and early Yuan dynasties.
Right, Zhao Ziang.
Yeah, Zhao Ziang. And he was renowned for painting landscapes and horses.
Right, and Zhao Ziang sets a goal to paint 100 different horses. To achieve this, he intensely studies their forms, their movements, the way their muscles bunch and release. He is doing exactly what Howard did with the Red Tiger, but under the guise of artistic dedication.
Day in and day out, utter obsession with horses. And the account states that because of this intense focus, his soul actually leaves his body while he is sleeping.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work mechanically? Are we talking about a literal ghost story here?
Well, let's translate soul back into the terminology we've been using, the energetic blueprint.
Okay.
When focus reaches an absolute zenith, the mind's blueprint of the horse becomes so dense, so real, that it detaches from the sleeping physical body.
It projects outward.
Literally projecting outward into the physical space, constructing the obsession in the real world.
Which brings us back to that terrifying image we started with. Zhao Ziang's wife is exhausted from a long day. She walks into the bedroom, lifts the bed curtain to get some rest, and staring back at her is a massive, monstrous beast.
A huge horse just lying right there on their bed.
Yeah. She is so horrified she faints dead away on the floor.
And Zhao Xiang wakes up to the sound of her collapsing. He rushes over, helps her up, and she is hysterical, screaming about a horse on the bed.
But he looks at the bed, and it's empty.
Exactly. He is completely confused, thinking, I was just sleeping right there.
But then the realization hits him. He had thought about horses so intensely and so constantly that his mind physically manifested one.
Yeah.
It built a horse so tangible that his wife, a third-party observer, actually saw it.
And this is where the author explicitly restates the core principle, just so there is absolutely no ambiguity. All phenomena are created by the mind.
It is a stark, absolute warning about the power of fixation.
It really is.
When you step back and look at how these three concepts build on each other, it's honestly brilliant. We start with the actor, proving that consciousness can dictate physical reality on a temporary controlled basis.
Right.
Then we look at the master, Hukizi, who uses that principle defensively, remaining totally unattached and formless to defeat a system that relies on categorization. And finally, the tragic cases of Hao and Zhao Ziang, who show us what happens when an obsession hijacks that 3D printer and starts building without your permission.
The full spectrum of this divine power is laid out. It is not just a collection of magical tricks. It is presented as the fundamental physics of reality. Consciousness is the engine, and it is always running whether you have your hands on the steering wheel or not.
Which brings a really interesting context to the author's final thoughts. At the very end, Deiform Buddha references Sun Wukong, the legendary Monkey King from Journey to the West.
A classic figure.
Right, and everyone knows Sun Wukong possessed 72 transformations. But the author's wish for anyone reading this isn't to learn 72 tricks. They hope the reader can surpass the Monkey King and possess the ability to transform in countless ways.
It is an invitation to achieve the state of Hukuzi. True mastery isn't having a large catalog of shapes you can turn into.
It's not about the forms themselves.
No, true mastery is infinite fluidity. It is the ability to adapt to any situation without ever becoming trapped by the form you take.
But to maintain that fluidity, you have to be hyper-aware of what is capturing your attention. If you don't choose your focus will choose your form.
That is the crucial takeaway. And I want to pose this directly to you listening to us right now.
Oh, this is good.
We have just explored this ancient framework, arguing that all phenomena are created by the mind. And sure, you probably aren't staring at a painting of a red tiger all day long until you crave raw meat.
Let's hope not.
Right.
Yeah.
But look at your daily environment. You are constantly staring at screens. You are swimming in predictive algorithms, endless 24-hour news cycles, and curated social media feeds that are scientifically designed to capture, hold, and obsess your attention.
They are the ultimate Jishan,
Yeah.
feeding your data and feeding you patterns.
Exactly. So if this philosophy holds true, if our consciousness literally shapes our form, our behavior, and our reality based on what we obsessively focus on, what unintended transformations are happening to you right now, simply by virtue of what you can't stop looking at?
Are we all slowly turning into the things we doom scroll?
It makes you wonder.
That is a brilliantly heavy question to walk away with. What blueprint is your mind 3D printing while you aren't paying attention? We hope this deep dive into the mind and the transformation of divine powers has given you some profound things to consider. Keep your focus sharp, stay fluid, and thank you for joining us.